Hey, Dan Coccimiglio here with NorCal Sports Network. And today we're going to be talking about what would Major League Baseball look like if it had a real salary cap, a mandatory salary floor, not just the luxury tax, not the CBT. I mean a true cap, okay? A true cap where nobody can go over it, and a real floor where teams can't tank with a 60 to 70 million dollar payroll like the Marlins and the A's. All right. Well, Dodger manager Dave Roberts says he is actually open to a salary cap, but only if there's a floor. And this is what I have been saying here on NorCal Sports Network for quite a while. So Roberts says he's okay with it, but a floor has to be added. So today we're going to be talking about that. We're going to break it all down, what a realistic cap looks like, what the floor should be, and how this would completely reshape the future of baseball. But before we get going into this, let us thank our sponsor of this video, and that is Chapman Law Group. Chapman Law Group, located in Marin, licensed in all of California. Give them a call at 415-613-9483 for all your legal needs. David Chapman and his group, let them know NorCal Sports Network sent you. All righty, guys, this is going to be fun because we need a salary cap. We definitely need a salary cap. And right now, Major League Baseball is the only major league sport without a salary cap, without a hard salary cap. We have called it the competitive balance tax. And honestly, does that stop anybody? The Mets, the Dodgers, the Yankees, they don't even care. They blink an eye. So what? They got to pay a little bit extra. Steve Cohen could give a crap. It's just like, him just saying, hey, a couple of pennies worth. I don't care about that luxury tax. That's not going to stop him. I mean, let's take a look at the actual disparity when it comes to the top teams. Look at this. There you have it. The Mets, 323 million. The Marlins, 67 million. That was last year, 25 season. The Mets were just above the Dodgers, and the Marlins were just the worst team, only beating the A's and the Pirates. And I'll show you the list here coming up in a bit, but we'll show you the whole thing. All right. So we're going to take a pretty deep dive. I'm going to give you some graphics and an appeal why I think Major League Baseball truly needs a cap. I mean, come on, the Dodgers, Mets, Yankees, Phillies, these teams push 250 to over 300 million payroll without blinking. All right. Meanwhile, on the other side of the league, teams like the A's, the Pirates, the Marlins are rolling out payrolls in the 60 to $80 million range. I mean, that's not competitive, right? I mean, it's not even balanced. And it's hurting the sport. The Dodgers have won the last 2 World Series championships. Why? Well, they got the best team, and I don't blame the Dodgers. It's not their fault, man. I mean, they're working within the rules. I have no problem with the people who say, the Dodgers are cheating. No, they're not. They're playing by the ground rules that have been given to them with the CBT. So baseball has to fix it, not the Dodgers. It's not their problem. Okay. So I commend Dave Roberts for coming out and saying he's all for a salary cap. That shows the man has integrity because he's got the best team with the best payroll pretty much in baseball. And he says, hey, maybe it should be capped, but a floor's got to be included. So what would a realistic cap and a floor look like? Let's talk about the actual numbers because this is where things actually get interesting. After looking at MLB revenues, what teams already spend and are comparing it to the leagues like the NFL, NBA, we can come up with 3 realistic models. Okay. And I've come up with 3 models and they look like this. All right. So option A is a cap of 280 to 300 million with a floor of 140 to 160. Option B, a cap of 250 to 260 and a floor of 120 to 130, and option C with a cap of 220 to 230 with a floor of 110 to 120. All right. So keep that in mind there's your floors. I'll bring those back up later on. To me, option A is the most realistic. This is what I would call the high cap version, okay? Where you're looking at 280 to 300 million, a floor of 140 to 160. I know that goes a little bit against the graphic that I actually just had. This one, well, no, it's actually right. I had it right. Okay. So to me, this makes the most sense. It doesn't cripple big market teams like the Dodgers and the Mets and the Yankees because they're already operating near this range. Okay, so they're not going to have to, drop half their roster, and it forces the low spenders. This is the key. It forces the low spenders, the ones in that $60 to $80 million payroll, to actually invest in their roster, and this makes the sport better. This version would instantly improve the competitive balance without causing a war between owners and the players. If you go, wait till you see option C when we talk about that. Remember the model we had up there. And, I can put that back up there for you guys to take a look at these options. Okay. So now we're looking at option B. All right. So cap 250, 260 range. This is what I would call the moderate cap version. And then the floor of 120 to 130. This still creates balance, but big market teams would have to cut 40 to 60 million, maybe even more, like the Mets and Dodgers. They would have to cut like 70 million because they were at 321 and 323. And I'll show you all the major league teams coming up, but they would have to cut quite a bit in their current payrolls. And the MLB Players Association would likely fight this because it's just slightly suppresses superstar contracts. That's the problem. They don't want to suppress the superstar contracts, the guys at the top of the food chain, so to speak, the Ohtani, even though he's got a deferral, but you know who I'm talking about, the big time contracts, guys that are making 40 million plus. So this doesn't really work in my opinion. And option C, this is not going to work, but I'm just giving you for, purposes of what's can be negotiated. This is the radical competitive balance version. And I don't think the Players Association would ever go for this. I imagine a lot of owners would love this version though. And the cap would be 220 to 230 with a floor of 110 to 120. All right. This is the most dramatic option. And honestly, I think it would cause just a huge labor war. But it would create the closest thing to true parity the sport has ever seen. This is what the NFL kind of does. So this would, option C, if you want parity, I like option A personally. To me, that's the most realistic pick. That is the version that NorCal Sports Network and Dan Coccimiglio are going with. And that is option A that you're looking at, a cap. And I would actually cap it at 290 to 300. Okay. So right in that range. So the cap cannot go over 300. The floor 140 to 150. This keeps superstars' salaries intact. It keeps big markets competitive, and it forces low budget teams to stop tanking and actually field a real Major League Baseball roster. This is the model that balances the league without completely blowing up the current system. So I'm all for option A on here. All right. So now how would a hard cap work? This is how a hard cap works. All right. So you cannot exceed the cap. Okay. This is where a lot of people get confused because a true hard cap functions very differently from what Major League Baseball has today, because you can go over it. It's just a competitive balance tax. You just pay extra penalties, but that doesn't stop the big teams, the big markets. So you can never go over ever. Okay. On a hard cap. If the cap is 300 million, you can't go over by $1. There's no soft cap, no loopholes, no deferred salary tricks. It's just you get penalties for going over. Could include loss of draft picks, loss of international bonus money, contracts being voided. Haha. And general manager or POBO suspensions. So anybody that tried to pull loopholes and go over, they would catch this. Okay. So this is what we're looking about with how the hard cap works. Mandatory payroll floor. This is the most important part. What Dave Roberts says he is for and must be added if there is a cap at the top. Teams must spend $150 million by opening day. Have to. If they don't, they lose revenue sharing money and could even lose draft pick compensation. All right. This eliminates tanking seasons and forces all 30 teams to compete. This is for the fans. Okay. This is for the fans. There are so many teams in different markets that I'm going to show you all 30 different payrolls that are just have no shot at winning, and the fans know it. So what this does, guys, is let me take this back off here and put myself back in there. The revenue sharing increases to help small markets actually hit the floor. Revenue sharing would increase by 15 to 20%. Okay. Big market teams won't love this, but the cap protects them from runaway spending wars. Think about that. Remember last year for Juan Soto and the the war going between Steve Cohen and of the Mets and the Yankees, Steinbrenner. How about that war that drove up Soto's salary to nearly $800 million? That's ridiculous. That salary wouldn't happen in this. If the salary cap was in place, that would have never been driven up. So increasing revenue sharing is not going to hurt these big teams. The annual average value, not cash, determines the cap hits, not the cash, not deferrals. If you sign a player for 7 years, $210 million, like Dylan Cease of the Blue Jays recently, the cap hit is $30 million per year, period. No more manipulating contracts with backloading or deferred deals. How about exceptions? Could those still apply? Absolutely. Major League Baseball would likely include a rookie exception, a home player or homegrown player discount. That would be pretty cool. How about a 60-day IL cap relief when you got a player that is on the 60-day IL list? This would help fine-tune the system without breaking it. Okay, so how would this transform Major League Baseball? A hard cap and a hard floor would absolutely reshape the league. You get more competitive balance. You get fewer tanking teams, more meaningful September baseball, more playoff races, better free agent strategy, more clubs willing to contend. This system makes baseball healthier, period. Absolutely. Okay. I want to show you some more graphics here because I want to show you the top 15 teams. I'm going to break this down. Look at the payroll. This is 25. This is from Yahoo. The Mets, $323 million. The Dodgers, $321. The Yankees, $293. The Phillies, $284. And it goes all the way down. You see for San Francisco, where NorCal Sports Network puts most of its attention to, San Francisco Giants were 14th at $173 million. And then the Orioles rounded out the first half at $162 million. Now look at this other half. Now, if you had a $150 million floor, all of these teams would have to raise their salary. They would all have to come up a little bit. The Mariners would have to come up 3 or 4 million. The Tigers, 7 million. The Twins, Cardinals. But look at teams like, let's start at 25. The Guardians, 100 million. All the way down to the Marlins at 67 million. You could see the A's at 73 million. White Sox, 82. All these teams would have to come up to 150 million. So what that does is, guys, it actually takes the superstars and spreads them around the game. Smaller market teams will have better players because all the better players can't go to the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Mets, because there's a cap. So some of those salaries, if those guys want to get paid, they're going to have to, some of them, the Pirates payroll is going to go up and they're going to get more competitive and the fans are going to love it. So this is a win-win in my opinion. All right. So here's my final plea when it comes to this and why this has to get done. I should be commissioner of baseball. Actually not, but I always dreamed as a kid I wanted to run baseball. I try to fix problems. That's what I do for a living. And here's my take on this with Major League Baseball. All right. This is the opinion of NorCal Sports Network. Major League Baseball and the Players Union cannot afford another labor war. Not when this sport is finally booming again. Attendance is up. Interest is rising. Young stars are injecting new life into the game. Major League Baseball is gaining momentum, the kind we haven't seen in years. At the very same time, the NBA is losing fans and other leagues are stalling out. Baseball has a real opportunity to lead again, and a strike would throw all of that straight into the garbage. And look, fans today are stretched thin. The economy is tight. People are worried about their jobs, their families, and yes, the future of AI reshaping work. Going to a ball game isn't cheap anymore. If baseball shuts down, even for a few months, a lot of fans won't come back. Some won't even be able to afford to do so. Others will simply move on. And once fans walk away, they don't easily return. We saw that in 1994. Baseball cannot survive another one of these moments. So this is the time for MLB and the MLB Players Association to wake up and understand exactly what's at stake. They need to come together, negotiate in good faith, find middle ground, and protect the future of this sport, because a canceled season or a long, ugly work stoppage wouldn't just hurt one side. It would set baseball back a decade or more. The game is thriving. The window for growth is wide open, but it stays open only if people in charge, Rob Manfred, Tony Clark, Baseball Players Association, everybody's got to come together. All right. So fans deserve stability, and the sport deserves a future. Okay. We need unity in the sport. Okay. That's my take, guys. That's my take. I want to hear from you. I want to hear your comments below in the comments section. Would you support a hard salary cap and a salary floor in Major League Baseball? And what numbers would you set them at? I like the 300 million because I don't think it destroys things too much, and come up to 150. Drop your thoughts, please, in the comment section. I read them all. Make sure you like and subscribe and share this video with every baseball fan you know, because we want to get this video out. We want to get this information out to as many people as possible. Baseball needs to see this video. So let's get that out there. Get the likes out there. Like and subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so already. We're putting out video content on a regular basis. We appreciate you watching this video, and we will catch you on the next one. Take care, everyone.